Brave Maker Show is hosted by Tony Gapperstone. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
If I'm going live here, my computer just froze right when it said. So let's see if we're good to go. It's episode 244. The show must go on. I'm just going to roll like it is. So if anybody's watching live, give me a little yes, we're good to go. You could hear and see me. I'm Tony Gapperstone. Episode 244. I'm the founder and director of Brave Maker, but I'm an actor, a filmmaker, and a screenwriter. And currently, the hat that I'm wearing it's a metaphorical hat, is the director of the film festival, the 6th annual film festival. Thank you, Stacy, in the comments. And today, and always, I'm a Caucasian guy with brown hair wearing yellow glasses, a cream sweatshirt in our Brave Maker studio that has some purple pink lights behind me with faux green and the words Brave Maker in pink. That's my inclusive physical description. Happy podcast 244. Thank you, Olga Gabris, who is also in the comments. These are two of our Brave Maker filmmakers in the comments. If you're watching live or on the replay, you should know them, because today we're talking about, or I'm going to attempt to talk about, some best practices for filmmakers when it comes to film festivals. And hear me when I say this. Some of the things I will share today, they're not going to be exhaustive. They're definitely because we are, a little less than 3 weeks away, and I'm still learning things, and I'm wanting to support filmmakers for our current film festival as best we can. But I'm also kind of thinking into the future. I already know things I want to do different next year for our film festival, and I want filmmakers to be able to be better and be more equipped and prepared for the challenges, not of just being a filmmaker. We can talk about that, because being a filmmaker, as my friends and I were just texting, feels like you're in a fiery furnace and you're crispy, fried, and burnt all the time. But I want people to be able to know how to work through some of the expectations and requirements of submitting yourself to a film festival. So, all right, here we go. These are in really no particular order. I just kind of started thinking about this today, because I was supposed to do a different podcast, and at the last minute things got canceled. So I know, you should always be ready to talk about something on a moment's notice. So for today, what's the first thing I would suggest is a best practice for filmmakers to have a successful film festival run, or to, when you get into a film festival, get that thumbs up that you're looking for? Number one is just to really be fully prepared when you submit your film. Number one. So fully prepared. What does that even mean? There's always a big question about should filmmakers submit rough cuts of their film to a film festival? Mostly we are submitting those rough cuts because we're running up against a deadline of some sort. So have I done that before? Yes. Has it worked in my favor before? Yes. Has it worked in my favor before? Or has it resulted in not getting in? I believe so. 50-50. So being prepared means, as much as you possibly can, submit a film that you are happy about. The way that it looks, the way that it sounds. I think anytime you submit a film and you're sending caveats to the film festival programmers saying, this isn't ready yet, or the special effects aren't done, or the music is temp score, it just makes it really hard for a film festival programmer to get in the mindset of, what is this final film going to look like? Have I accepted here in the Brave Maker Film Festival rough cuts? Yeah, I will say it does make me a little nervous at times, because, and I'm not thinking anybody specifically, and please hear my heart, I never want anyone to be shamed or feel guilty or shaded in any way. I definitely share this thing so we can be better and more responsible filmmakers and creators. But it does make a festival programmer wonder, okay, well, if I like this cut, is this going to be what is going to be delivered finally? Because if it's a temp score, or the effects aren't done, what will the quality of those things be? So number one, be fully prepared just means submit something you're really happy about. If ever you can, you make the choice if you're going to submit a rough cut. I think the other part of being fully prepared as a filmmaker is having your submission forms fully complete. Now, we use Film Freeway, as do a lot of film festivals. I know there's some like South by Southwest that has their own portal. I think Tribeca maybe too. No, I think Tribeca uses Film Freeway. If you are submitting your film, you want to fill out all of those categories on your film submission portal. Why? I mean, why? Well, first of all, why skip something? Why skip a director's statement? Or why not upload a behind the scenes still photo. I mean, not every short film is going to have a trailer, which some festivals will have a spot for you to submit. That's okay if you don't. But I would clearly lay out your log line, the summary of the film, your director statement. Make sure you fill out the cast and the credits for the crew, because that's important. In our case, this year, as a film team, we used a new platform for our ticketing, and we were creating our tickets, and we were pulling information from the film Freeway portal. And at sometimes we would notice there wasn't a poster in that submission. And so when we made a ticket for that film, the poster would be left empty. So little things like that, I think, are just important as a filmmaker. I highly suggest you do your best to be fully prepared. Now, I just say that with a lot of grace as filmmakers. It is a lot of work to make a film. That adage, every film is a miracle, is true, or it feels true, to even complete the film with all the collaborators, having everybody fulfill their roles and having everybody do what they said they were going to do doesn't always happen. So sometimes it feels like you're running this marathon and you're like at the last, half mile, and everything starts to fall apart. And then you get all these emails and these requests from the film festivals to do things, and it can be very overwhelming. So number 2 to be aware of as a festival submitter, filmmakers, please just read your emails and make sure you know everything that is expected of you. Make sure you're reading all the information. Make sure you read all the submission portal information of the festival. For instance, Bravemaker since 2023 has required all films to be open captioned. We had 140 films submitted, and many people, even when they got accepted into the fest, would say, "Oh, I didn't realize that," when we would send out the information about those requirements. Well, it's in our portal. All the information is there. Stacey McClam, filmmaker, producer, and on our Bravemaker team, says filmmakers took the time to make the film, so why not complete everything? I am learning and see how important those details are. Read, research about the film festival you are submitting to. If you know a film festival is going to require an EPK, and if I said those 3 letters, you're like, what's an EPK? Well, it would be really important for you to learn about what an EPK is, an electronic press kit. And those are things that, again, sometimes we don't even think about. We don't even think about as filmmakers all of the work that we have to do to promote our film, right? All the work that we have to do to actually get the film on a screen. And this is where new filmmakers, please listen to this part, okay? This is so important. Film festivals don't always do a good job of teaching or training you how to meet those requirements or those deadlines or those expectations. We don't. And I'm just going to be frank. It's really not our job to do that. It's not our job to train filmmakers to know about those expectations. But I, as a filmmaker myself and the director of Bravemaker, I'm trying, even this year, I was thinking we need a training video to help new filmmakers know what those deliverables are. So again, number 2 is read all the information as much as you can. Stay informed. There's a lot of things coming at you at times. There's a lot of links. We do filmmaker orientations. I've been a part of film festivals where I had to fill out a Google form for press information, or I had to send in my poster with a certain dimension. All that stuff is going to be filling your inbox, and you need to follow along and read and respond in a timely manner. That was number 2. Okay, number 3. This is where the training and the self-education is going to be really important. So you need to know those expectations of being a filmmaker, of what delivering your film means. So number 3, know what a DCP is. Okay. DCPs are digital cinema packages. Many new filmmakers just think, oh, I'm going to make my film in Premiere or Final Cut, and I'm going to export it into a movie file. I just put it on YouTube or just put it on Vimeo. Can't you play it from a Vimeo link? Oh my gosh. If I had $1,000 for every time someone said, can't you just play it from a Vimeo link? I'd probably have about $25,000 because there are some people, and I totally get it. Number 3, I totally get it. Understanding what a DCP is a mind boggle, and it's overwhelming, and it is expensive expectation as well. So again, I'm recording this in 2024 on the day that our filmmakers are to turn in their movie to create a digital cinema package, which I didn't even explain it, is basically, it's a code. It's an exported file of your movie that aligns with the digital grade projectors that most movie theaters, most industry standard movie theaters use, like Cinemark, like Regal, like AMC, like Alamo Drafthouse. They are playing from a very special hard drive that technically you can make on your own from your computer, but there are tons of organizations, companies out there that do it for you, and that costs some money. We use a particular company because we want all the filmmakers to send their films to get made into a digital cinema package to one place, and then they collect all those movies, put it onto a hard drive, and then they send it to our Cinemark theater. It never touches my hands, never comes into my inbox, but I can't tell you how many times people are sending me their DCPs. Filmmakers are saying, here's the Dropbox link, here's an attachment in Google, here's our Google. It's just not the way it works. And we have laid those things out, really clearly in our emails, and some people just miss it. It happens. So encouraging you filmmakers, number 3, to know what DCPs are. Olga Gabri says, learning by doing is so true after submitting to a film fest. Yes. And that's okay. Grace to you. We are a warm and friendly, and hopefully hospitable film festival, nonprofit organization, Bravemaker, to help people learn. But there's also going to be film festivals out there that might not be so hospitable. You need to figure that out. You need to know, train yourself. And here's the deal. Some filmmakers, need to accept this. And I've had to accept this on some of my films as well. Some of my films, the quality of them is just going to be perfect for YouTube or Vimeo. It's going to be perfect for doing a screening at my house with my friends on a big screen TV, or a projector on a sheet in the backyard, during, summertime barbecue. Not all films need to or should be put onto DCP to go to a film festival. They just don't need to be. Do we want them to be? Yes, but that's not always the case. And frankly, frugally, financially, some of us would do well not to do it, because it does cost us a lot of money and time. So my future hope is maybe by year 7 of the film festival, if you're watching this in 2025 or beyond, that we will have a training video to teach people how to make a DCP and what a DCP is. I don't know why I'm doing the robot, but it just felt like I should do that. Okay. If you have any questions about this kind of stuff, hit me up on social media. You can find me at Tony Gapistone or Bravemaker Org or Bravemaker Film Fest on all of the places. Now, this is something I'm going to say gracefully too, trying to be really graceful in all this stuff. Number 4 is work ahead. Don't wait to the last minute for deadlines. There are a lot of deadlines when it comes to film festival submissions. Obviously, you have to get your film festival submitted before the deadline, because the submission portal will close. Ours closed on April 30th. Boom, no more submissions after April 30th, because we need May to select and announce, in June to prepare, and July to screen and hold all of the parties and all that kind of stuff. So if you can meet that deadline, you're going to have to meet some other deadlines of submitting your assets, responding to your programmers, making sure you let your programmers know if you're coming. Sometimes, it's wild, but year after year, we have selected filmmakers, and some of them never, ever even respond to an email. They never even let us know that they're coming. Some of them will send in their DCP and stuff, and it's fine. We never hear from them. Some of them get selected, don't respond to anything, never send a DCP, and then we just take them off the program. It's just wild. People who pay for submitting still somehow don't end up meeting the deadlines. Now, again, I don't know people's story. I just make some assumptions like, oh, they got a really amazing job filming a movie in Bo-Katan, or they're in Italy, on summer vacation, and they've been away from Wi-Fi. I'm going to try to assume the best. I think there are some percentage of us filmmakers who are just really bad at organizing and executing and administrating our filmmaker life. But that's one thing that if you can get really good at meeting deadlines as a filmmaker, I know we're all artists. Woo-woo, we're artists. I'm an artist. Hey, I'm like picturing myself with a beret with a very long cigarette. I am an artist. But really, if we want to be good artists that engage with our audiences and take advantage of opportunities to, I know some people will balk at this word, but promote and market ourselves. We got to get good at the business side. And that really means meeting deadlines, making sure you look at on the portal that you are submitting when those film festivals are going to be screening. And even if they don't post when certain things are going to be due ahead of time on their webpage, you should make some assumptions about, okay, if the film festival screens the second week of July, I'm probably going to have at least a month before that, all of my materials ready. So just be aware of meeting your deadlines and don't wait. Okay, did I number that? I think I've already lost my numbers because I went out of order in my little thing here. Okay, so what was my first one? Be prepared. That was my first one. What was my second one? Read all of your emails and be informed. What was my third one? Know what a DCP is. What was my fourth one? Don't wait to the end. Make sure you hit your deadlines. Okay, so I think I'm on 5 now. 5, interact on social media. Develop relationships ahead of time. Number 5, if you are accepted into a film festival, chances are that your film festival wants to highlight you, wants to make your film successful, right? We want, and I'll speak this from myself personally, I want a selected filmmaker to feel valued. And one of the ways that I think filmmakers will feel valued is people come and watch their film, sit in those seats, that tickets get sold. And when tickets get sold, film festivals are happy because they can pay their bills and the rental venues and that kind of stuff. But filmmakers, that's a lot of responsibility still on you. Kind of maybe goes back to that idea of a business. Stacy says in the chat, filmmaking is a business, even though we are artists. We have to learn how to navigate the communications, the press, the marketing, the promotions of ourselves. And a festival is going to do some of that for you. But it's also like having an agent or a manager who takes 10%. A agent or a manager doesn't do all the work for you. Nor will a film festival do that. So if you can build relationships with that film festival and your selected filmmakers, I talked a couple episodes ago about best practices for being on a film fest panel. You should definitely go and listen to that. One of the things I have tried to do is learn who's in my same block where my film is screening, reach out to them. We were making some suggestions in our filmmaker orientations that some filmmakers might benefit from doing some collaborations online, that they could do some Instagrams, where they meet and talk with a fellow filmmaker who they have been programmed with at the same festival, do podcasts together. If you live in the same area, a lot of people who live in LA or Chicago or Atlanta or Austin, if you know people are selected for that same film festival, try to get together with them. You just think, it's a relationship business, right? So build those connections with your film festival programmers and team, and also build those relationships with your fellow filmmakers. And I will say, one of the things that will benefit you in the relationship thing is, let's say you accidentally miss what I said earlier, a deadline for submitting a film. This happened to me at a film festival that I love. I somehow totally missed a deadline to a film festival in which I had been programmed multiple times. I reached out to one of the programmers who I had a relationship with and said, hey, if you have any, and I didn't expect it or demand it. I just said, hey, if you have any opening spots, if you're looking for a short film at this total runtime, it's a comedy, and maybe somebody else has bailed out or fallen out, consider me. And guess what? A filmmaker didn't end up getting their materials in time. And so I got that slot. But I think it was really based on the relationship that I had with that film festival. And please know, this has happened many times to me where I want to help a filmmaker out and I have a good relationship. And I've seen how warm and gracious and kind they are on social media and that they're interactive on our posts. I see the posts, I see the comments, and that incentivizes me to want to help. And if you scratch my back, I scratch yours. It's one of those things. Olga Gabri says, it is so important to check in with fellow filmmakers. Being there goes a long way, and Brave Maker community is so supportive. Thank you, Olga. So building those relationships starts way ahead of the film festival. When you show up on opening day, chances are you could have been spending weeks developing, DMing people, all that kind of stuff, DMing people as much as you can and work it. I will also say too, just to be transparent, there are times I have had to say no, because we have to say no. We can't always say yes to everybody. People who said, hey, I've got this film, can you program it? I look at the time, it's 39 minutes and I have nowhere to put it, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Or again, being honest, some production quality sound isn't great, and we just can't. I can't program it because of that reason. It's one of those things where you don't want to burn bridges. You don't want to have entitlement when it comes to those relationships. Always ask. The answer might be no, and that's okay. But I think that's a best practice, is treat your film festival partnerships and submissions like just another part of this business, because the business of entertainment is just that. It's a business, and your relationship with a film festival program could eventually result in a job, because some film festival programmers like myself are also directors and producers and people you might work with in the future. Okay, I'm going to do a number 6, which isn't really for every single film festival, but I will say it is becoming, I think, or it's going to become a thing of the future. And that is know, here we go, number 6, know what open captions are. Okay, boom, boom, boom. I have said this in the past as a learning curve for my own inclusivity and awareness as a filmmaker, but the open captions element of our film festival here in Redwood City, Bravemaker, is becoming a mandate, which means all of our films have to have open captions. You are probably all familiar with the word subtitles or closed captions when you're binging your TV show on Netflix and such. Every streamer has the ability to have closed captions when you're watching your favorite programs and TV shows and movies and stuff. Now, film festivals, public screenings, and theaters are going to be following suit. Why? Why is this important? Well, it goes back to a film called Being Michelle, and I'll shout out to filmmakers Tin and May, producer and director of that awesome documentary called Being Michelle. Please Google it. Also, Tuba Thieves is another amazing film that taught me so much, by a Sundance filmmaker. And the idea that every film in film public screenings is going to have open captions is coming basically to our future to be the norm, because everybody needs to be included in watching a film. And for the Bravemaker Film Festival, when we value a inclusive and diverse community, that means being welcoming to all people, all ethnicities, all genders, all orientations, all ages, as well as all abilities. And there are people who are hearing impaired and or deaf who can only participate in a film if there are open captions, meaning they're open for everybody to see, and they're inclusive not just of the words being spoken, but also of the sounds. And Alison O'Daniel of a film called Tuba Thieves is somebody who has taught me a lot. Also Google her, Google Tuba Thieves, a Sundance selected film. I actually had her on the podcast 2 years ago. It has been really eye-opening and, for me, humbling that we as a film community have to get more progressive and intentional about ensuring that our films that we choose and select are put onto screens with open captions. That's why, and that was in all of our writing since 2023. If you look on the Film Freeway portal and read all of that print on there, it says all of our films must have open captions. And we still have people saying, and I understand why, we still have people saying, can I submit my film without open captions? Can I have my film be the exception? Because it's too much work and it's too expensive. And let me just say, I understand that. And it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that to be an inclusive world, that it's almost like a privilege. Like even right now, we have all of our venues ADA compliant except for one. So we're having to rent ramps so that our wheelchair using friends and filmmakers can get into the venues. It's expensive to rent ramps. For our filmmakers who have films that don't have open captions, they're learning, oh my gosh, I have to pay to have those made, or I have to do rev.com. Earmark that, rev.com, rev.com. It costs money and time to get this done, as do DCPs. Filmmaking is an expensive art. It is. If it's too expensive for us as filmmakers to do these things, then we have to find other routes. Just show it on our laptop or put it on YouTube. And maybe the film festival route is not the best way for us to go. But for Brave Maker, and I think you're going to see this in the future, I hope my words, marking my words here, will become true, is that film festivals are going to be following suit, and hopefully all theaters in general will do this. To think of My Century Theater that has 20 different screens and they're not showing open captioned films. I think there are little machines, contraptions that the hearing impaired and deaf community can get that they can hold in their hands, but still it feels like, they want their eyes on the big screen. So inclusion should not cost so much. And I don't know who can hear that. Inclusion should not cost so much. Inclusion should not cost so much. I want that to echo out into the universe, and hopefully it will become more and more more and more acceptable and more affordable for all people to have this be a regular part of their art. And if you are listening and you are a generous person or a company that wants to scholarship or fund this element of Brave Maker, gosh, do we need you, and filmmakers need you. I had a whole handful of people say they couldn't participate in the film festival this year because they couldn't afford a DCP and they couldn't afford open captions. And I get it. And, one person I even paid out of my pocket a little bit of money because I wanted to help them. And then I was like, I can't do that for everybody. And it's always the artists who are suffering, to try to bring their things to the world, when I know there's a lot of affluence and a lot of money that is floating around, especially Silicon Valley. So if you hear this and you are somebody who wants to give to our scholarship fund, my desire is in the future to be able to help filmmakers to get these things done, And that was number 6. Okay, let's do a couple more here. Okay, so number 7, and my friends Stacy and Olga, if you're in the chat here and you want to suggest something, I'm welcoming that. This is something a little bit more when it comes to not just a relationship with the festival, but it does have. So hear me out here. This is more about filmmaking in collaboration. Number 7 is work on your film crew, your core team collaboration. And here's what I mean. Filmmaking, we all know, is a collaborative art. It's a collaborative sport, whatever you want to say. There's so many people delivering things in order for it to come to life, for the film to get onto the screen. But generally, there's one or two people, usually the producer or the producer director or the producer director writer or the producer director writer editor. There's always one person who's doing everything. And I want to say, just ask for more help. Ask for help as filmmakers to get your film across the finish line. You're inevitably, and I'm talking to whoever that person is who represents the film, whoever that person is who submitted the film, inevitably, there's going to be a lot of things on your to-do list, and it can be very overwhelming. And I understand why you might want to check out, why it might just be I can't meet all these expectations for the film festival requirements. Well, ask somebody else on the team or the crew. And maybe this is going to be one of those, what do they say, those confrontational, crucial conversations, come to Jesus kind of conversation you might need to have with one of your fellow crews. Hey, if we're all going to be titled producer on this film, we all have to do the work of being a producer. It's a lot. And sometimes, I'm going to say this is kind of harsh. Sometimes people like the title of producer or filmmaker, but they're not really doing the work of filmmaker or producer. It's I was on set, I showed up on set. I set up C-stands. I got craft services. I hustled, but then after wrap, those producers sometimes are gone. You never hear about them, and they just show up on the red carpet. Maybe that works for some people. Maybe it does. Maybe because they wrote the check. I don't know. But I hope and wish, this is my number 7, for better collaboration for filmmakers. When you make a movie together, really carry it together to the end. Advocate for one another. Don't throw each other under the bus as best as you can. And maybe some of these fiery furnace things that we have to go through, it's kind of like, when you make some pottery, right? And I'm thinking, I haven't done this since like high school art class, but you shape the pottery and you put that little glaze on it and you put it in the kiln? You put it in the kiln and it has to, solidify or whatever. And then it comes out, and sometimes it looks amazing, but other times it looks like crap because something has fallen off, or cracked or whatever. That really feels like the metaphor to me about filmmaking. Is I go through the fiery kiln furnace as a filmmaker, and sometimes some of the team gets burned off or burned out, and sometimes that team member is me. I'm cracking, I'm flaking off, I'm not molding and melding correctly into the overall piece of art or sculpture that I just did. And I see that a lot with filmmakers when it comes to film festivals. And sometimes you can tell filmmakers are not talking to each other from the same film. Like sometimes I have, not recently, I remember years past, I was getting emails from, I'm not going to say 7, that's an exaggeration. I remember at least 3 different people from the same film, and I could tell they weren't talking to each other behind the scenes. And at one point I had to say, hey, can you all just find one person to email and ask the questions, because they're emailing me, our producer for the festival, our press person, blah, blah, blah. It can really be a lot on the film festival team's side to get bombarded with a ton of questions. And sometimes those film teams could answer their own questions if they just read the emails or the websites, right? They would know all of those things. All right, comments are coming through. Working with a trusted and supportive team is critical. If everyone is doing what they're signed up for, everyone wins. That's a good one. I want to make a comment on that. That's from Olga Gabriz. Olga and Stacey are in the comments today. Thank you. This is also, again, something as indie filmmakers, if we're good at this, and Olga, I'll shout out Olga. Olga has repeatedly had these things in writing and contracts. So when things get kind of blurry, she can go back and say, well, according to the contract, according to the email on this day, this is what was said was going to get done. So let's go back to that. That's really good. Producers, Stacey said, solve a lot of problems, and some push the film through the entire process through distribution. Producers are usually not paid. The Doc Producers Alliance has created guidelines. Oh my gosh, not getting paid is a big thing for all of us. I'll tell you, this is probably for another podcast, but if, it's number 7 here about team collaboration, you might be learning something about yourself as a filmmaker going through the film festival process and hopefully to distribution that you might have to draw some boundaries on. For instance, I had to tell myself, I can't do this no budget, low budget, high concept short film that I want to do until I get the money. Because sometimes I'll just I'll get creative. I'll do everything. I'll get the props. I'll rent the venue. I'll, order crafty on my DoorDash app. And it's not good. It's harming my creativity. It's harming my physical self, so this is a really good thing to learn as a filmmaker in the filmmaking process, because again, going back to some of the things I said earlier, not every film has to get distribution or go to a film festival. It's okay just to do a film and put it on YouTube. And I think sometimes this process has helped me solidify that. All right. I think, let me look at my notes here. Those are 7 things, best practices for filmmakers. So, again, I'm not going to highlight every single one, but I think one major thing I have noticed is filmmakers, we are so busy and rushing and juggling multiple jobs, me and hats, that things fall through the cracks and we drop really important balls that need to be in the air. And if we just kind of take a moment and take a breath and look and go, okay, figure out how to streamline your tasks. Make sure you're organizing them well, or you have an app, Asana, Monday.com. I use Google Keep, just writing on pieces of paper. There's so many things. And I, for one, can get really nutty with my Post-it notes. I got 7 right here. I'm not even joking if you're watching right here. I have to make sure I translate that into my notebook, into my digital Keep app. Otherwise, things will fall through the crack and I won't enjoy it because I'll be just too busy and lost along the way. So Those are my best practices. I could talk a little more about when you're actually on the ground at the film festival, like, you turned it all in, everything got accepted, the DCP was QC, quality controlled, thumbs up, you can move forward. When you get to that film festival and you're actually watching your film, there's so many more things we could chat about, but it has a little bit to do too about what I was just saying, is like, have a plan, be organized, get that schedule. Like, our schedule right now is out online. People can download the actual printed program and they can look at the digital program. You should figure out, what films do you want to see? What filmmakers do you want to meet? Write out, some goals over the film festival. Like, when I go to Sundance every year, I've been rejected. I have not been a selected filmmaker, but when I go to Sundance, I kind of have a list of a handful of goals I want to accomplish. Like, I want to meet a certain certain person. I want to book some podcast guests for my podcast. I want to establish a relationship with someone that could be a future collaborator, whatever. Make that goal list and seek to achieve it. There's tons of great workshops at film festivals. You can't do them all. You can't watch every single film, but you can be intentional and strategic with your plan. And I think that is a key to our success as human beings, is being intentional, have some goals, plan. What is that? What's that phrase? Like, plan the work and work the plan. There we go. Okay, I think that's all I have for episode 244. If you're watching this live or listening to it on the audio, we are doing a live podcast for our 250th, which I'm super excited about, on July 11th, 2024. That is happening at the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. You can get tickets on bravemaker.com, and you can also be following along with us at Bravemaker Film Fest on Instagram. There's so many ways, again, to support Bravemaker. One of the things is reshare our work. Get your tickets now. Oh my gosh, ticket prices are going to go up for our all access pass on June 25th. Right now it is $175 for all 4 days. Come on, that's cheap. But it goes up to $200 on June 25th. And then it's going to go up again to $225. Why? Because we have to plan things, y'all. And if you procrastinate, we don't know how many people are going to come. So we are going to incentivize and reward people who plan the work and work the plan. All right. I'm Tony Gapisone. Again, this is episode 244 of the Brave Maker podcast. I cannot do this without our producer, Amy Cohen, who has been live quoting. I'll say thank you to our team, Olga Gabrice and Stacey McClam, our press team, our filmmaker team, who have a short film called Effervescence and a feature film called Bar Daddy, screening at the 6th Annual Film Festival. Also, thank you to Jessica Cohen, our intern, who cuts up these videos and puts them out on social media, our social media manager, Carrie Alley in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Barnell Amos, who edits the audio version. If you want to become a donor, listen up, please, please, please. We will not be around here. We will not be in existence if people do not donate and become a monthly donor. $5, $10, $25. It helps us do it all. That is at bravemaker.com/donate, or text the word Bravemaker to 44321 right now. Text the word Bravemaker to 44321. Become a donor. Give $10 a month, please. It helps us. We have 45 people who do it now. Oh, check this out. Speaking of Stacey McClam, producer of Bar Daddy, we're doing a special screening this Saturday, June 22nd in Redwood City, with an artist and art show named Rebecca Archer, who has done amazing art depicting lives of Black community and Black women especially. But this time she's got some cool artwork about this amazing guy named Al Jenkins, who's a lawyer in LA who has helped over 3,000 Black attorneys pass the bar. Come on. Join us June 22nd. Tickets are at bravemaker.com. Yeah, you're awesome, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching. If you liked this, subscribe, rate, all that kind of stuff. Join our membership team. Oh my gosh, we have a thing on Mondays at 10 a.m. Every 10 a.m. Pacific time. We're doing a thing with Tristan Schuler on acting and auditioning without fear. If you want to be a part of that one for free, you can email me, tony@bravemaker.com. I'll give you a free session, no problem. Other than that, I'm going to show you a trailer for the upcoming film festival as we close out here. Brave stories change the world, everybody, and you are the story. See you next time.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.